Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. Turn past the first page. Nope, I got the assignment with it. Okay. You'll need your multi. Now this is different than yesterday, not by a lot, but by some. Okay. Your job and these problems here. Turn past the first page. I don't need to waste time multiplying it out. You know how to do that. Okay. Now there is a difference in yesterday. Okay. It is a pretty significant difference. Okay. But it's not, doesn't make it any harder. There's just one little extra thing you have to do. So we have two answers we have to find for x because the x variable and you're solving, finding the answers for x for all these. You can put x equals down in the corner. Now, because we have x second and x, that's why we have to do all this factoring because we have two x's that we really can't combine. Now, you may have a GCF today out of the three terms. There's three terms. You make sure you're lined up at 0. If you're not, you're going to have to move things out of there. Okay? So we're at 0. Now, remember the GCF rules. You have x on the final term on this one. No, there's 3, no x. Is there a negative in front? No. Okay, GCF 4, 7, and 3. Now today, you're not always going to have a 1 there just to tell you it's 1. Okay? There might be a 1, but that's not automatic. We're the only row that has 4, 7, and 3. Just 1. So this one is a 1, so we're going to get rid of it. Okay? Now, here's what you want to do. You can't just go put x, x, because you see you go A, B, C, but the A is not just a 1 where you can just get rid of it. Okay? There's a 4 in front of it. So, I'm going to put down here in the corner, please put that A equals 4x to the second. Okay, it's not 1x to the second, so because it's not a 1, you're going to have to deal with that 4, okay? Now, you're going to take your A times your C, the 4 times your 3, okay? You're going to find the AC product. So yesterday you just were able to put the C on top of there, but you don't, what's that? Yeah. You can't just put your C there because now A is not a 1, so you take the 4 times the 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Positive 12, okay? So because it's positive, we're matching the signs, okay? We're going to put match. You want to put negative, negative, or positive, positive? You want to put negative, negative. And we're still adding to the middle of the B term. It's positive 7, okay? Now we start dividing. 12 divided by 1 is 12. That's negative 13. That isn't going to work. 12 divided by 2 is 6. It's negative 8, that's not going to work. If I divide 12 by 3, you get 4. Okay, that's when you add negative 3, negative 4, that's negative 7, but how do you make it into positive 7? You just make it positive, positive, okay? Alright, so circle those, and in the parentheses, you're going to put plus 3 and plus 4 on top. Now, here's how you fill out your x terms now that you have an A as 4. You're going to put XX, but what you're going to do is you're going to put a 4, because you know how A is 4 right there? You guys see that?
Oh, 4x?
Yeah, you're going to put 4x, 4x, but then you need to divide down. So you're going to divide them 2 at a time. So I would like you to look at 4 and 3 on your table. What's the only thing? Oh, yeah, but you could only divide it by 1, wouldn't you? Yeah. Okay. So 1, 1. Now, 4 and 4 are the same number. When you get the 4, when you have the same number, you don't look on your chart. You need to put that number under your lines. So if I had a 5 and a 5, I'd put 5. If I had a 10 and a 10, I'd put 10. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Okay. So, all right, now you divide down. So that's going to stay 4x plus 3 because you're just dividing by 1. Over here, that's going to become 1x plus 1. Now you need to, after you divide, you need to cross out that top row of parentheses. Because when you use your ZPP, zero product property, these are the factors you need to use. 4x plus 3, 1x plus 1. Okay?
Didn't we do 4 divided by 1?
What's that? I did, yeah. So 4 and 3, I can only divide that down by 1. Because that's the only row that they appear in the multiplication table.
Oh, and if we have 2, sorry. I
No, you're
meant
fine.
if
Don't be
we-
sorry.
4 divided by 4.
Yeah, I have.
4.
Yep, over here. So over here, 4 and 3 are only in the first row. Now when the numbers are, you know how the second parentheses has a 4 and a 4?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to divide them by 4. You don't look at your chart because that's not going to really work when they're the same.
That's why I wasn't reading it right.
Yeah.
So it'd be 4x.
As an answer, you can, yes. Okay, all right. Okay, now, zero product property time, okay? Now, so F1, F2. So 4x plus 3 equals 0, and 1x plus 1 equals 0. Okay, Kate is right. You get a decimal, minus 3 minus 3. Yeah, because you're going to have to divide by some numbers. Now, I'm fine. What'd you get for decimal, Kate? Tell me. Negative 0.75. Yep, that's fine for decimal. If the decimal just goes on forever, you need a second PRB it. But I'm fine with this one being negative 0.75. Okay. Now the other one times 1, so all you have to do here is minus your 1. You don't really need to divide by 1. It's going to be negative 1. Okay. All right. Now, again, the difference between today and yesterday is that A, the number in front of the x seconds, not 1. Okay.
Does it say the same though? Like, are the last two problems switching up on us like yesterday? Or?
Last two you'll have to lay out yourself, but it's kind of the same.
Okay.
You remember match, mismatch?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will warn you, some of these T charts, you know, on the T table, you need to be patient. Do not say I can't find it till you've divided through 7. You know what I'm saying? So don't just divide by 1, 2, 3 and say I can't find it. You need to divide through 7. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. 2x squared minus 7x plus 6, okay? So I'm looking here. There's no x on the end. There's no negative in front. 2, 7, and 6 is just a 1, okay? So now I go A, B, C. You need to take your A times your C. And remember, A is 2x to the second. You're going to want to put down by your parentheses what the A is, so you remember what number you're going to put in front of your x's. So 2 times 6 is 12, okay? It is positive 12, so again, that's another match. So you can either start negative, negative, or go positive, positive. It doesn't matter, okay? Okay, you need to add to try to get to negative 7. 12 divided by 1 is 12. That does not add to negative 7. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Negative 2 plus negative 6 is negative 8, okay? 12 divided by 3 is 4. So negative 3 plus negative 4 gives us negative 7, okay? So that's your answer. So that, not your answer, but that's the numbers you're going to put down here. Minus 3, minus 4. Now, I'm going to go x times x still, x, but I'm going to take that 2 and place it in front of each of my x's, okay? Now, that means you'll need to divide down, okay? You didn't have to do that yesterday because you had a 1, okay? Now, in the multiplication table, 2 and 3 only appear together in row 1, so we would divide by 1 here. 2 and 4 appear together in row 2, so 2 and 2, okay? So this is going to be 2x minus 3, and this is going to be 1x minus 2.
This one.
Yeah.
Wait, why are you dividing by 1 for 2 and 3?
For which one? We're 2 and 3 at
Oh,
only in
okay,
one row.
all right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
2 and 4 in 2's row.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Jackson, can you look up here one quick second? I'm going to explain why you have to divide. Okay? Can you just watch? You don't have to take notes. So you know how when I multiply it with the rainbows?
Yeah.
2x times 2x times 1x, 2x times negative 2, and then negative 3 to 1x, negative 3 to negative 2. Just watch here. So this is going to be 2 with x to the second, negative 4 with x, negative 3 with x, 6. Now if I slot it, you're not doing this on the problems. This would be a 2. I would add the x's to get negative 7, and then I would get 6. Now look at what I got there. Don't write it down. Does that match up with what I had over here?
Yeah.
That's the point. You're trying to get to the 2 correct. You're going backwards. Does that make sense? This is a trick, so you're not driving yourself nuts. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so there's 2 answers. You need to use your zero product property. That's F1, F2. So 2x minus 3 can equal 0. 1x minus 2 can equal 0. But you will need to divide down, because Jackson, if I wouldn't have divided down, this would not have matched at the end. Okay. plus 3 plus 3. You guys got to be patient on some of your t tables, okay? 3 divided by 2 is 1.5 as a solution. Now, you don't have to divide by 1, but you have to add 2. Plus 2 plus 2, and you get 2. Okay? So you line up the parentheses in your first row, and this trick works every time, okay? All right, next problem, we got 2x squared, that means x second, minus 14x minus 36 equals 0. Now, guys, can you just watch here a second, okay? You don't need to you don't need to go to it, I don't care if you do. Can you look at your charts here a bit? You got an x on the end there?
Mm-hmm.
No. Do you have a negative in the front?
Oh, no.
No. This one here, you don't need to go to it. Look up 2, 14, and 36, please. I think that's not a 1. What is it? On
2
your
what?
chart. 2, 14, and 36.
That's a 2.
It's a 2, so what you would do is you bring a 2 out here, and then I have set up a little parentheses here. I don't think this happens on the assignment, but you put a 2 there, and you go up and divide by 2, and then it's 1x second minus 7x minus 18 when you divide. Now I ABC from here, okay? Now, does this 2 have an x with it or not?
No.
Then you would just get rid of it, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, and then everything's kind of the same deal. Only now a is 1x second, so it's back to being a 1x second. Okay, you guys can proceed with whatever it is you're doing. 1 times negative 18 is negative 18, so that is a mismatch. I'm warning you, some of these t's take a while, like when I'm at this point. By the way, if you divide and get a decimal, you should not put that on the table. You go to the next number, okay? Mismatch, you're adding to negative 7, okay? So, mismatch is a positive on one side and negative on the other. You can switch them around if you have to. 18 divided by 1 is 18, so I add them, it's negative 17, no. 18 divided by 2 is 9, there's your negative. If you add those, it's negative 7, and you want it to be negative 7, okay? So I put in the positive 2, the negative 9. So that we're still going x times x. Do not put x second in the parentheses. The x second is still being broken up so that it's x times x, okay? But that leading coefficient 1 I place in front of the x's. Now I can't really divide, well I can divide, 1 and 2 would be 1, 1 and 9 would be 1. So that's why really when a is a 1, it doesn't really change, okay? And that's why I wasn't doing that yesterday, because the a was always a 1, okay? So the factoring would be 1x plus 2 times 1x minus 9. And then there's my factors, f1, f2. So 1x plus 2 equals 0. I think on all your assigned problems, the GCF's 1, okay? So you won't have to worry about that little 2 like that in front of there, okay? Now, you don't need the times 1, you're just going to minus 2. So x is negative 2. Again, if x is multiplied by 1, you can just take off the multiplying number, and then you add 9. Plus 9 is 0, and I get 9. Negative 2, positive 9 are the two solutions, okay? Okay, next one. 8x to the second plus 11x minus 10 equals 0. So there's two answers. And because we have x second and x, we have to use the zero product property by factoring. That's what ZPP stands for, zero product property, okay? Okay, so x on the end, no. Negative in front, no. If you take your chart and look up 8, 11, and 10, those are only in row 1, okay? So since they're only in row 1, that's not worth doing, okay? Okay, now I'm going to ABC, and then down here I'm going to put myself a little reminder that a is 8x to the second power, okay? Not 1 like it was yesterday on all the time, okay? So I find the AC product, 8 times negative 10 is negative 80. Remember, you got to multiply the a by the c. Since you have a negative, that's a mismatch. So it's a positive times a negative, okay? And you've got to add to get to positive 11, okay? So 80 divided by 1 is 80. That adds up to negative 79. 80 divided by 2 is 40. That adds up to negative 38. 80 divided by 3 is a decimal, so I don't even list 3. Now I go to 4. 80 divided by 4 is 20. 4 plus negative 20 is negative 16. Nope, I gotta keep going though, okay? Don't say I can't find it till after you divide through 7, okay? I don't think there's any you have to divide past 7. 80 divided by 5 is 16, okay? So 5, 16. Now if I add those, 5 plus negative 16, that's negative 11. Well, I needed positive 11, so I just go negative positive instead. Okay, I just switch both the signs. They're still mismatching, they're just on the other side. Okay, so I put minus 5, positive 16. Now the x second still goes x times x. Now since a is an 8, we got to break down the 8. So we put an 8 in front of each of our x's. Now 8 and 5, those are only together in the first row. Now the 8 and the 16 are together in the 8th row. Now they're together in other rows, but the deepest row is the 8th row, okay? So the common factor here is 8. So that would stay 8x minus 5, and then this would be 1x plus 2, okay? So on my zero product property, we have 8x minus 5, and we have 1x plus 2 equals 0. F1, F2. So 8x minus 5 equals 0, 1x plus 2 equals 0. So I'm going to plus 5, 8 times x equals 5. I divide by 8, and that's 0.625. You can put that, or you can second PRB it to a fraction as 5/8. It doesn't matter to me. If you want to just second PRB all your decimals, that works, okay? Okay, then minus 2, you don't need to divide if there's a 1. X equals negative 2. And those are your two solutions for the equation, okay? I will not be doing the next one, okay? Now, before I go back to the ones that are not laid out, okay? Before I go to the ones that are not laid out, do you guys have any questions at this point? You don't? Okay. Now, can I get you guys to go or at least look at this one here? Either go.
I think I know what I'm doing.
You think you know what you're doing? Okay, well, if you don't know when it's not laid out, you better go to this problem here, okay? If it ain't laid out, okay, you know there's two answers. You know you have to do the zero product property. You don't have to write ZPP necessarily, but you need to know that you're looking to get to equal 0 with a bunch of parentheses, okay? So you make sure, if I don't have a 0, how would I get rid of the number? I would add or subtract it. So how would I take out that 5 then? I would minus it. Does that make sense? Okay. Would I put the 5 with anything, or do I have to hang it?
Hang
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't go with the x's second number, it doesn't go with the x number, we hang it, okay? So equals 0. Now I lay it out. X second, x constant, okay? So x second, you got positive 6. X, you got positive 1. You got negative 5. Now everything's the same, okay? You got a trinomial, it's 3 terms. When we're factoring 3 terms, we want to look for a greatest common factor for all the 3 terms. Then we want to see, we need our t-chart to do our parentheses, okay? So I line up the after I'm equal to 0 and I have everything laid out, okay? I see 3 terms. Now I do my GCFT using the graphic organizers I have, okay? But what you're trying to do is trying to rewrite that side into 2 parentheses that equals 0, okay? All right, so GCF, X on the end, no. Negative in front, no. 6, 1, and 5, that's 1, okay? So I'm not doing that. Now I go ABC. Keep in mind that your A is 6x to the second power, okay? You cannot just put x like yesterday. Some of you might be wondering, well, we just did XX on our problem yesterday. Yeah, because the A was a 1. Now it's not, okay? So you have to take into account the 6. Your AC product, 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. So this is a mismatch. So it's a positive times a negative. You're trying to add to positive 1, okay? 30 divided by 1 is 30, okay? Add those, that does not add to positive 1. 30 divided by 2 is going to be 15. That does not add to positive 1. 30 divided by 3 is 10. That does not add to positive 1. Or any kind of 1. It has to add to either positive 1 or negative 1. If it adds to the wrong sign, we just switch them. 30 divided by 4 is a decimal. I should not even be listing 4 then as a factor. 30 divided by 5 is 6. Now 5 plus negative 6 is negative 1, so we can stop dividing. We just need to make it into positive 1 by switching the signs. So positive 6, negative 5, okay? Negative 5, positive 6, okay? X times X. Don't put X second in the parentheses. You're breaking up the X second as X times X. The 6 you break up by putting a 6 in front of the X's. Now 6 and 5 are only together in the first row. 6 and 6 are the same number, so you need to divide by 6. If they're the same number, don't divide by 1. You need to divide by that number, 6. Okay? Just like if I had a 10x and a 10, I'd be dividing by 10. Okay? So it'd be 6x minus 5, and this would become 1x plus 1. Okay? So my factoring is 6x minus 5 times 1x plus 1, okay? So F1, F2. So 6x minus 5 equals 0, 1x plus 1 equals 0, okay? So add the 5 and divide by 6, but this one's going to be a whacked out decimal, okay? So when you divide 5 by 6 and get a never-ending decimal, you go second PRB, and you're going to write your answer as the fraction 5/6. Okay, 5/6 is the solution. Okay, now you don't need to divide by 1, so you can take off the times 1. You just need a minus 1, and x is going to be negative 1. Okay, all right, that's enough of me. Who's got a question? Okay. Some of them do take a while on the chart, and you got to see what I'm talking about. You got to be patient. Okay.
I'm good at that.
Yeah. If you divide it through 7 and can't find it, then I'll help you out, okay? But don't